Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Brunner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday morning, or not quite Monday afternoon on the East Coast, but wherever you are, whenever it is. Hope you're having a good one. End of week 3 here. We got Monday Night Football tonight. And if you're interested, before Monday Night Football, we will be right here for the Flurry Sports Podcast live. Always a fun show. It's not too serious. It's not fantasy related. It's sports related. It's NFL related right now. In that show, we're essentially doing sports talk a little bit differently. We talk about the storylines. We treat it like it's professional wrestling half the time. The new segment for this year is we're doing power rankings in a different way. We spin a wheel, and then we rank the top 10 teams based on that specific thing. If you're on YouTube right now, you can watch the power rankings from last week when we ranked the best teams to share a beer with. And spoiler alert, the Buffalo Bills are not on there. So if you think I'm wrong, let me know. But definitely go and check out those rankings again tonight. About 5 p.m. Central, I believe, is when we will go live. So if you want to hang out, talk about sports, and see what we're ranking this week, again, we spin the wheel, so completely random. Definitely come and hang out. But yes, 1 game left of Fantasy Football Week 3, and then we're headed into Week 4, the final week for a bit, with no bye weeks. Week 5, we were already starting bye weeks. We already got the Packers on bye. I think there's 2 teams on bye. And, as we've talked about, this is the NFL experimenting and getting data for when we move to a 20-week season, which is coming soon. We'll add 1 more game, and we will add a second bye week. We're getting data with teams with a Week 5 bye playing the entire year. We have data with teams with a Week 14 bye playing the entire year. And you would assume a lot of teams will have an early bye, late bye starting soon. And the bargain for that will be to get that 18th game, that precious 18th game, a 20-week regular season. That is certainly coming for the NFL soon. But we are here to talk about fantasy football. We will talk about the injuries, unfortunately, the top trending players. We got some snap count stuff, and we'll talk about who can be added, who can be dropped. But of course, your questions will always take precedent. Cam, what is up? Do I trade Chase Brown? At the moment, it feels like yes. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jerry Jeudy, and Tootin for Bucky, Travis Hunter, and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Initial gut feeling is yes, just because, and it truly depends on if you are, how your wide receivers are, just because I don't like Travis Hunter very much for fantasy. Never have, probably never will. A little overvalued there. So if you're able to get rid of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jerry Jeudy, I understand they're not performing super well right now, but that will turn around, at least for Jeudy. Marvin Harrison Jr. just kind of is what he is right now with a mid quarterback, and he's not an alpha. He's not going to be the person to say, hey, throw me the damn ball, even if he's wide open. And then unfortunately, he finally got the ball when he was wide open, and that was dropped, obviously. So I do think better days ahead for probably all 3 of those guys, right? I don't think there's anywhere to go but up. And then Tootin kind of is what he is. He's not getting that many snaps. He scored another touchdown. I love selling high on him. I don't think he's that valuable for fantasy unless ETN gets hurt, which is very possible. But best player in this trade, hands down, no brainer, Bucky Irving. So if you're stacked at wide receiver, if you're good at wide receiver, you just need that running back essentially. I like getting Bucky Irving. And then Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt's fine. He's still a liability in pass protection. He wasn't very efficient running the football in this game. What I did like to see is that he got the goal line carry. That was something that was essentially guaranteed to Chris Rodriguez, according to their head coach, and that did not happen. So before, my whole take on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at the start of the season was, I don't want somebody in a split backfield who's not getting red zone touches. Now, he's still in that split, which I don't like, but if he's getting red zone touches, at least he has a chance to score a touchdown. So that's good. So I don't hate that. Your wide receivers are JSN, Ibuka, and Sutton. The good news with Ibuka, it seemed like there was somewhat of a countdown timer on him. I think he's good, so I think he would have been relevant no matter what. But I think Chris Godwin comes back this week. But Mike Evans leaves with a hamstring injury, as he tends to do. So now, if Chris Godwin comes back and Mike Evans is out, fine, because Ibuka is just going to take the Mike Evans role. He is able to play anywhere on the offense, so I think he is safe for the time being. But would you do that trade? I think yes. I think I'm willing to do that trade. I also like, and this is just me, how I like to play fantasy football, I guess, but I always like trading away more players than I get in return, just because I can be a little bit more flexible with my roster at that point. So then you open up a roster spot you could pick up, just a speculative ad, right? A handcuff, maybe a defense for next week, talking week 5 potentially, knowing that you don't want to play your week 4 guy. Whatever it may be, you could do something a little bit better with that last roster spot. So I would do that trade. I would see if I can get somebody better than Travis Hunter, just because you're giving away 2 receivers who I think are both better than Travis Hunter. But I would still do the trade. I'm still fine with it. Good question, though. I feel we're about to get into legit trade season. Like, there's been trade questions, but now all of a sudden you have teams that are going to be 0-3, desperation mode. Even 1-2, it just doesn't feel good. If you're 1-1 this week, you're like, okay, whatever, we can turn it around. All of a sudden, 1-2, you got a losing record. Don't love that. But if there's an 0-3 team, pepper their ass with trades this week, because they feel like, and rightfully so, that something needs to happen. And you might be able to get a really good deal. You might be able to trade for somebody who's a little bit banged up. If there's an 0-3 team with CD Lamb, like, of course, go for their ass. Get what you can do. That didn't even come out correctly, but you know what I mean. Like, CD Lamb may not play this week, but he's on an 0-3 team. The 0-3 team needs a win. They're not going to have CD Lamb anyways. We're just bargain hunting. Maybe that should be a show this week, or an article or something, a bargain hunting show every week for the next few for fantasy football trades. Let me know if you guys are interested in that in the comments, in the chat, wherever you may be. Now, let's start with, and again, keep asking questions like Niori, if I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I didn't. If you guys got questions and I see them, I'm going to rate them. If I am looking at a different page, I won't be able to see the chat right away. Just hang tight. I will get to your question. Should I sell high or hold on Ibuka? Great. We're just talking about it, considering Mike Evans' injury and Godwin's return. Also, should I sell high on Nico Collins? I'm still not convinced with the Texans offense. I'm looking to package, to get a package around Collins and Adunze. So I'll start with Ibuka, since we just talked about it. And I think it's an important thing. So yes, or no, I would not sell high, just because, yeah, like, there was a countdown timer on him, but all of a sudden, now there's not. The best part about Ibuka heading into the season that I talked about was he's not just a handcuff for Chris Godwin. He's a handcuff for Mike Evans as well, since he moves all around the offense. He can play outside, he can play slot, he can do all of it. Very good player. I hate that he's a little bit banged up already, but obviously, clearly, didn't really affect him much this week. He looked good out there. So I do think Chris Godwin comes back. I don't think Chris Godwin plays a full snap count right away anyway. But on top of that, Mike Evans with a hamstring injury. I mean, this is, broken clocks right twice a day. This happens every year. So Mike Evans probably missing time, or at the very least is limited. I love that Ibuka can slide into his role, can play Mike Evans or play Chris Godwin's role. He can do it all. So I'm holding tight with him. He may be the only steady receiving threat in this offense. And then I also don't believe in this Texans offense, but I do believe in Nico Collins, and he should be fine. He should be okay. Sorry, Collins, for Adunze and other pieces. And I do like Adunze. I will say, if I'm listing sell high candidates, it's hard not to list Adunze. He's got 4 touchdowns in 3 games or something like that. He's very good. Very, very good player. I'm a huge Adunze guy. Was on my championship college fantasy team a couple years ago with Penix. Had a nice little stack there. But Nico Collins is still Nico Collins. It depends on what you can get, I suppose. If you can trade Collins for Adunze and a decent upgrade at running back, like you do Collins and a shitty running back for Adunze and a good running back, okay. But I'm not selling Collins just to sell Collins, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not looking to sell high on Collins. I think better days are still ahead. I think the Texans need him to do anything. He also plays in a division I'm not afraid of, which is a big plus. And I do think Christian Kirk coming back does help. Christian Kirk played in pretty much all of the 3 wide receiver sets. Higgins played in the 2 wide receiver sets, but Kirk could, I'm not sure if it said Kirk or not. I think I might have messed up his name. Christian Kirk didn't really play in 2 wide receiver sets. I think he'll mix in a little bit. And then if they can figure out some sort of threat in the running game, I think that's good. Their offensive line is still a little bit mid, but we saw Woody Marks play half the snaps this week. That's great news. I love Nick Chubb a lot, but he ain't it anymore. So if we can get some sort of running threat, I think that helps. Nico obviously just makes the offense better, in scoring position more often. So I think you're good to go. If you can get a Dunze and Scatabo, or Dunze and Judkins, that does change things for me a little bit. I hope you still have other receiving threats, but man, if you can get a Dunze and Judkins, I'm on board. I think I would want Judkins over Scatabo just because I don't know the full picture of the Tyrone Tracy injury. I think Scatabo did enough with the snaps last night to say, hey, you are the RB1A. But if Tyrone Tracy comes back in a couple weeks, comes back next week, probably not next week, but in a couple weeks, he's too good to not have on the field as well. Whereas Judkins, he could be that Nick Chubb there for a lazy comparison. But he is very good. He's catching the ball. He can do it all. So I would prefer Judkins. If I can get a Dunze and Judkins for Collins, I think I would do it, assuming you have other receivers and assuming you're not dropping a stud. Again, you're trading 1 player for 2, so you probably have to drop somebody. Make sure you're not dropping somebody good, because that just you're factoring them in the trade as well. It's not really just 1 for 2. But yeah, I can be convinced of that. Because I do like Adunze. I do like Nico Collins. This isn't a sell high thing for me. But that's a good value still. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Before we get into the trending players, on flurrysports.org, my week 3 notable fantasy snap counts is out. So go check that out. I'll drop the link in the chat if you want to copy and paste. I'm not sure if you'll be able to click it. About half the games are in here. If you want to become a member, you click this button right here, membership, for 1 coffee per month. And trust me, with the workload I have right now, I would definitely appreciate some coffee. But 1 coffee per month, I just dropped the link in the chat. You can become a member. So you get access to the full snap counts. My opportunity index comes out tomorrow. That is updated weekly. That's a very, very important tool for Not just evaluating just who's good right now, but it's good for buy low, sell high opportunities. It helped a lot of people win leagues last year, honestly. I'll have my consistency rankings out hopefully this week as well. And you get to join a group chat with me on Twitter, which means you can ask questions to me and other members whenever about whatever. And that is super useful. You can answer other people's questions if you want to break into this industry. Maybe that's a good way for you to gain a following a little bit. That is certainly something I did close to a decade ago at this point. But yeah, so for one coffee per month, you go and click this button right here. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Zach Brunner, or said or weird. You can scan the QR code on the screen here. I think if you're on YouTube, there's a link in the description as well. But scan the QR code, buy me a coffee, join the membership. I do believe it's definitely worth it. And if you're a yearly member, that's $35 for a full year, not a season, a full year. So until September 22nd next year, you get the draft kit for next year as well, which is very, very good. We had a 32-page draft kit this year, a shit ton of data, rankings, all of the above, and we sold it for $10. You can still have it if you want this year's draft kit just to take a look through. If you become a member, let me know. I'll send it to you. But you get next year's draft kit as well. So for $35, you get next year's draft kit. You get a full year of being a member. You can suggest other stats and data and videos and articles you want to see, and we will do that for you. Definitely a good deal. I want this to be the best value membership in the industry. And I want you to win your fantasy league. I'll take ownership over that as well. If you win your championship, it's kind of like I won another championship. It makes me feel good. You're pretty thin at wide receiver. Nico, Mecca, Abuka, and Jamison Williams. I don't love that. But if you're also thin at running back, I mean, getting a running back is good. I'm less pressured to do that trade because of this, but that doesn't make me off the trade. If you are doing this trade and you are getting a pretty sizable upgrade at running back, then go for it, you know? Yes, lots of snap count information here. Got a little blurb about each team as well. I'll expand on that if you're a member, if you have any questions. But, I mean, for example, we got 66 snaps for the Cleveland Browns offense. Judkins played 36. Dylan Sampson, unfortunately, only played 5. I hate that a lot, honestly. Ideally, what the Browns should be working towards is a Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson split backfield. Sampson needs to be used more as a receiver no matter what. This is not okay. They're a better team if this number goes up. Jerome Ford ain't it, but maybe they're showcasing him in order to trade him. Maybe he gets traded to the Chargers. Maybe he gets traded to the Cardinals. You never know. But I do think they should do that. Harold Fannin. I thought he looked really good. I love him as a rookie. I like that he can move all over the place. That means he shouldn't be ruled out of the offense based on a game plan. I like that a lot. However, he ran like just over half the snaps. Yeah, he ran the 5th most snaps on the team, just over half. He ran fewer snaps than Judy, Tillman, Bond, and Njoku. Not talking snaps. I mean, that's true as well, but I'm talking straight up routes. So he's not really a start for me, like an automatic no-brainer start until he can get those routes up. And then, like I said here, and I do leave little nuggets like this in here. Obviously, week 1, a big one was I said go and trade for Cooper Kupp. Go do it right now. But Jerry Jeudy ran 13% more routes than Cedric Tillman, who is number 2 in routes. Jerry Jeudy is going to come around. I can promise you. I think you can get him for dirt cheap. Go trade for Jerry Jeudy. I'm not trading anything super valuable for him, right? I'm looking to trade on the low. I want to trade for Jerry Jeudy. I want to trade for Calvin Ridley. I want to trade for people like that who are getting routes, getting snaps, and are arguably the wide receiver 1 on their team. I love that. So if they just get better production, if they get more consistent production, all of a sudden their value skyrockets. So a lot of nuggets like that. Go to flurrysports.org to check out the article. And if you want the full damn thing, become a member. I do believe it is worth it for you. And at running back, you got Derrick Henry and Trevion. I don't hate trading away Trevion after this week just because everyone's losing their shit about it. But yeah, it would certainly be an upgrade. Wouldn't it? I think I would do the trade. I think I would do it for a Dunze and Judkins. I don't think I'm doing it for Scatabo yet, unless we find out that Tyrone Tracy's out for like 6 weeks or so, which I don't think is going to be true. But yeah, having Derrick Henry, Judkins, Adunze, Abuka, and then Jameson Williams, that could be nice. See what JMO does tonight, too. Highest point total of the week. I do think this could be potentially a really nice Jameson Williams game in prime time. If I can sell high on Jameson Williams off of like legit chance for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight, if he can do that, he will be a sell high for me as well. I do think he'll be good, but never know. Okay, top trending players of the week. Pickups, drops over on Sleeper Fantasy, and then we'll talk about our waiver wire. I haven't done my rankings yet. I don't usually do these waiver wire rankings on Fantasy Pros, but maybe I'll talk through it a little bit live. Maybe that's a good way to do our ad drop going forward. Just thought about that early this morning. So we'll get to that in a second. Let's start talking about the top 10 trending players on Sleeper Fantasy. Picked up in over almost 1 million leagues is Trey Tucker. Owned in 6% of leagues. Obviously, he had a huge game. I do like Trey Tucker. He's someone who I traded away in Dynasty. I think I have him in the other Dynasty league potentially. But this is a guy I like a lot. He's very clearly operating as a wide receiver 2 in Vegas. But I mean, come on. He had a hat trick. He went crazy. 145 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is not going to happen ever again. We just saw his best game of his career. But I do think, I don't know if his targets are necessarily a fluke. 20 targets through 3 weeks. I don't know if that's necessarily a fluke. So I do think you can go pick up Trey Tucker and have a decent player. He plays the Bears, the Colts, the Titans, the Chiefs. I don't hate that. I don't hate that roundup there. And then Jags, Broncos, Dallas, Cleveland, Chargers, Broncos. Fantasy playoffs of the Eagles, Texans, and Giants. I don't hate that. So the fact that Trey Tucker is the number 1 most trending player is obvious, is because if anyone scores 3 touchdowns, you're going to go pick him up. I wouldn't break the bank for him, but I do like him. I don't think his production so far is necessarily a fluke. Number 2, Trey Benson. Unfortunately, James Conner ruled out for the rest of the season with that season-ending ankle surgery. Trey Benson now takes over the backfield. I think Trey Benson's a stud. A big fan of him. I have him in one Dynasty league. I want him in the other Dynasty league. I have James Conner in one Dynasty league without Trey Benson. Not a good move. But, I mean, if you've been listening to us, it's not a bold take for this year. I was very high on Trey Benson last year. Didn't necessarily come to fruition. Just 1 year a little bit too early. This year, a lot of people were talking about him. If you had James Conner in like a redraft league, hopefully you drafted Trey Benson, certainly being the drum on that. But right now, there's no pressure in the backfield. D. Mercado, I believe, is the only other guy, really. They got Bam Knight there, I guess. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be Trey Benson's backfield. Now, do I think they make a move at running back? I think yes, almost definitely yes. Is it Jamal Williams? Do they trade for somebody like Jerome Ford? Does Leonard Fournette finally find a team willing to take him? Who knows, right? Maybe Gus Edwards. Chargers are certainly looking for a running back as well. We'll get to that in a second. Gus Edwards probably going back there. Maybe Ezekiel Elliott does something. Who knows, right? But Trey Benson is going to be the lead back in this backfield. I like him quite a bit. If he is available in any league, he is most likely your priority pickup this week. Absolute stud. Tyquan Thornton, I'm a little hesitant here, but boy, did he look good. He had 5 for 71 and a touchdown. Obviously had that other big drop or big play that was dropped. Followed it up with a big play. Insane contested catch downfield. Tyquan Thornton looks like the player that the Patriots drafted that they wanted him to be. And then it just didn't work out in New England for one reason or another. Didn't really develop, didn't really get the playing time. But He looks really good right now. I think Xavier Worthy comes back next week, so that throws a wrench into things. Then a few weeks after that, Rashee Rice comes back. So I do think Thornton's going to be relegated to just a deep threat role. He's going to be a better real life piece for this Chiefs offense than a fantasy piece. But next week he's got the Ravens. I think he can still be relevant with Xavier Worthy back. Ravens, Jags, Lions, Raiders. Like, I don't mind picking him up. Again, I'm certainly not breaking the bank for him. But he's a good player, so I'm interested. Adam Troutman took over, potentially, we thought he would take over at tight end with Evan Engram out. Don't pick up Adam Troutman. Fully ignore that. Turns out if you remove Evan Engram from the offense, nothing happens. So maybe that tells us a little bit about Evan Engram, right? Caleb Williams looked good. He played a Dallas defense that just gave up 450 yards to Russell Wilson, so certainly take it with a grain of salt. But, I mean, hey, 298, 4 touchdowns, ran a little bit. His throws had zip on it. They were on time. They looked really good. If the confidence is growing, if the offense is finally finding its rhythm, I mean, there's no shortage of weapons on the Bears offense. So, Caleb Williams, if you drafted Joe Burrow, if you have Jaden Daniels and you're a little nervous, if you drafted Matthew Stafford late and you were relying on him and thinking he was going to be the ultimate steal, whatever it may be, if Caleb Williams if he's available in your league, 71% owned on Sleeper, I assume that number is less on ESPN. But go pick him up. He's got who this week? He's got the Raiders. So I'm not necessarily afraid of the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are a pushover like they were in recent years. But not afraid. The only bad thing here is you're picking him up for the Raiders, and then he has a bye, which I don't love. But still, target him. Sterling Shepard, obviously he had that big play at the end. He looked pretty good. If Mike Evans plays this week, if Chris Godwin plays this week, if he turns into the wide receiver 4 on this offense, not valuable. However, if Mike Evans is out, if Chris Godwin's not ready to play a full workload, then all of a sudden Sterling Shepard has a little bit of a role, but still, I'm not looking to pick him up. Don't really care. Ken Walker being the 7th most picked up player kind of surprises me. Decent player, lost work this week, though. He was operating kind of as that lead back. Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin, everybody in Pittsburgh beating the Jalen Warren drum, which means Ken Walker moves down the totem pole a little bit. No need to own him other than as a Jalen Warren handcuff. Mariota filled in for Jane Daniels and had a nice fantasy day thanks to his 40 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Played fine, played pretty well. Whatever. If you have any wonder if the NFL is rigged, we will find out this week, because could Mariota get a revenge game in Atlanta? If the NFL is rigged, the answer is yes. If the NFL is not rigged, then Jaden Daniels will be healthy enough to play. So that will be that. Kyle Monangai, really strong runner. He's not overly athletic. He hasn't been efficient yet, but I do think his snaps will continue to grow, especially if DeAndre Swift continues to stack up little dents and bruises and stuff like that. So Kyle Monangai, if you are a DeAndre Swift owner, if you are thin at running back, certainly look to him as a future ad or a speculative ad. Same sort of thing with Miles Sanders with a handcuff to Javonte Williams. He played well this week. 9 carries, 41 yards, 3 catches. He's a Javonte Williams handcuff. That kind of is what he is. But if you have Javonte Williams, who is an absolute stud, like I told you he would be with this Dallas offensive line and offense overall, then you probably want to back him up. And now quickly, just players who are getting dropped. Najee Harris out for season, torn Achilles. That stinks. It sucks. Or stucks, if you want to combine the words like I just did. Dylan Sampson, like I said, played 5 snaps, I do believe it was. I think better days ahead. But if you're in a redraft league, you don't need to own Dylan Sampson. Hopefully you found that nice, beautiful little window where you traded him and he was valuable. That would have been incredible. But if not, and you have an empty roster spot, I mean, hold on to him. But He's not a must drop, but he's certainly not a must keep. Evan Engram, boy, I do agree. He is droppable. Jake Browning, I mean, he's going to be good. If you looked at my rankings, he wasn't going to be good this week. Who's he got next week? Denver. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, fine. You can drop Jake Browning. Ramondre had a great opportunity and literally fumbled it away 2 different times. So I do think he's not phased out of the offense. I think he's too good for that. Plus, it's his only fumble so far this year, but this cannot become a pattern. I would not be dropping Ramondre Stevenson. That's a stupid thing to do. But, it's interesting. Detroit defense dropped. Interesting. I guess because they had him for the Bears and then are dropping him for the Raiders or Ravens rather. Makes sense. Romeo Doubs dropped. He should never have been that owned. Packers are just going to spread the ball around. He's probably the most valuable receiver there, but not worth it. Jordan Love's not very good, and they are going to spread the ball around. Marvin Mims is no longer the wide receiver 2. He's very clearly the wide receiver 3. Probably doesn't need to be owned. Jaden Blue, I think, has a lot of upside, but that upside is not going to be realized for a while. And then Jerry Jeudy, like I said, by far ran the most routes. He is going to be much better. Do not drop Jerry Jeudy if you don't have to. Please. That feels like a dumb thing to do. Okay, we got some questions. Apologies for the people asking questions, but I got you. What's up, Dylan? Trade Benson, Pollard, and Devontae Smith for Jamar Chase. That's interesting. Gut call says no. It depends on the rest of your team, but trading Benson and Pollard is a lot. I'm not a Devontae Smith guy, so I'm very willing to get rid of him. But Trey Benson, I mean, elevated to RB1 role, and I think he's good. I do not want to trade him away. And then Tony Pollard played damn near 100% of the snaps. Tony Pollard is the safest running back in fantasy. It feels like he is the easiest player to project, which if you have someone who's reliable, I love that. So if you have Pollard who can just be a bye-week fill-in and a flex guy, that's hard to get rid of. And I think Benson's really good now. So I think you're trading away too much for Jamar Chase. Unless Benson and Pollard are your running back like 4 and 5. Because Benson, I find it hard to believe you have 2 running backs or 3 running backs that are very clearly better than him. But yeah, Tony Pollard going to lose his job to who? Not Tajay Spears. Yeah, I don't think I would make that trade unless it's like an 8-man league. Then it's like, okay, you don't really give a fuck about your bench. You're just looking for the best overall starting lineup. At that point, maybe I would do it. But otherwise, no. Trading away Trey Benson right now is not the move. Brees Hall versus Miami, Hampton versus the Giants, Scatterbo versus the Chargers, Dobbins versus the Bengals. Start 1 flex. It's one of the first 2 for sure. I would start Hampton. Obviously, my rankings will come out on Wednesday, but I think I would start Hampton. I don't trust the Jets offense to be in scoring position a ton. I think they will. I don't think Miami's any good, but I don't trust it. And if you're saying one of these guys is going to score a touchdown, who's most likely? Probably Hampton. And then the next most likely is probably Dobbins. But yeah, going Hampton. Okay. We went through the snap counts. And obviously, you guys can do that more yourself. Go to that page, flurrysports.org. Click the link that I sent in the chat previously. Now, let's do this. If Vrabel doesn't give Trevion at least 20 snaps after 3 fumbles, might be my number 1 op. I mean, at least 20 snaps, sure. But I mean, Trevion's not a bell cow, will never be a bell cow. So people are acting like, I mean, they did this preseason, they did this week 1. They're doing this now. There's some fantasy experts that truly experts who have no fucking clue how football works. Like people are saying Trevion's going to be a bell cow. That's not going to happen. Will he get 20 snaps? I think that's possible. But even still, like he's a change of pace. Trevion doesn't even, his skill set doesn't even work as a lead back. So we'll see. I think he needs to be set up. You can't like start the game and be like, hey, here's Trevion Henderson and go. You gotta soften that defense up a little bit, and then you throw in the lightning. You gotta put Mark Ingram in before you get Alvin Kamara. You know, that's kind of how that works. Let's take a look at, and again, I haven't done these rankings at all. I think I've done it once before. Obviously, I do my rankings on Fantasy Pros. Top 10 expert in draft and in season. Top 5 for running back, top 5 for wide receivers. No biggie last year. But I never do these waiver wire rankings, so I figured this would be a good way to talk about ad drop. And it looks like once this own loads. So this roster percentage is consensus from Yahoo and ESPN, which is good. Sleeper, almost definitely, if it's a good player, sleeper is going to be higher because the sharps, if you want to consider them that for fantasy football, the diehards, the people most dialed in, are on sleeper versus ESPN. ESPN's a little more casual. So we will factor that in, think about that a little bit. But overall, the majority of people play on these two sites, on Yahoo and ESPN. So I think this is good. If you have any questions, certainly keep asking. I'll try to remember to flip back and forth so I can look. But, okay. Quarterback. Maybe you had Browning. Maybe, again, Browning bad this past week against the Vikings. Blitz heavy scheme. Now they play the Broncos. Not comfortable there. Who are you going for at quarterback? Looking at this, not a guarantee Mariota plays, but Mariota against Atlanta is interesting. I like Jackson Dart's number 5. Jackson Dart, I don't think is going to play this week, but it does feel like his time is coming. Let's take a look at their schedule. Ooh, maybe it's not. I can't imagine Jackson Dart is the starter until week 10 at the soonest, right? And it could be week 15 after the bye, but like maybe you put him in against the Saints, but if that doesn't go well, then all of a sudden you're staring down Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, which is not what you want to do for a young quarterback's development. Let Russell Wilson be in there and take those hits. So I don't think you need to be adding Jackson Dart. Okay, looking at the rest of these, I'm not a Tua guy. Monday Night Football, primetime spot for Tua probably means he gets his head smashed in. Stafford right now by default is number 1. I think Geno might be the number 1 fantasy quarterback right now for amongst these waiver ads. I don't hate Darnold. He plays on Thursday, which means they're probably going to be more run heavy. Tua has not been good. I do respect the Jets defense at least a little bit, so I wouldn't go there. Wentz against Pittsburgh, I'm not afraid of. Going overseas kind of stinks, though. Just a lot of variables. But yeah, I think, and then Stafford's fine. He's going up against the Colts, which is his easiest matchup so far, I would think. Texans, Titans, Eagles. I mean, Titans aren't terribly tough, but they're not bad. I think this might be the easiest defense he's faced so far. So yeah, if you're picking up a quarterback here, I think it's Geno against the Bears. Probably Stafford 2. Potentially, I mean, we gotta see, but potentially Mariota 3, potentially Wentz 4. There's going to be people dropping decent quarterbacks as well, though, so you're probably not crazy in need of a quarterback. If you are, definitely ask questions, but I think you're probably fine. Okay. Running back, Trey Benson, number 1 waiver ad. Don't even need to think about it. He's the number 1 priority ad this week if he's out there whatsoever. Plain and simple. After that, Tajay Spears is expected back, I think, week 5. And again, he's not going to take the job from Tony Pollard for sure. Like, that's for sure not going to happen. But That should be a split backfield as long as Spears is healthy. And how long will Spears be healthy for? I mean, probably not very long, but if he is, he's a decent player. He's definitely a nice little change of pace. Algier is fully a handcuff. He is not used really whatsoever unless the Falcons have the lead, potentially on the goal line, and then if Bijan Robinson gets hurt. So he might be a little bit lower. Ollie Gordon's a nice little handcuff getting work. Blake Corum's a nice little handcuff starting to get work. Woody Marks is interesting to me. What's their schedule? Because he played about half the snaps this week. He plays a little bit more in passing down situations. Titans, Ravens, bye. Seahawks, Niners, Broncos, Jags. I mean, I think I would put Woody Marks up here. I'm not picking him up to start him right away, but if you're saying one of these players becomes fantasy relevant without an injury, I think it's Woody Marks. Braylon Allen got some work this week. He got work receiving the ball as well, ran a bunch of routes. So I do like him, but I just don't think this Jets offense is good enough to necessarily warrant him being a pickup. He's not a must-own handcuff to me. He's still a decent handcuff, but not a must-own. Kyle Monangai is rising the ranks a little bit, earning more snaps, but again, not a ton. And he's not overly great. I think he's fine. I think he's a strong runner, more of a plotter, but no need there. Chris Rodriguez got a bunch of work. Jeremy McNichols, I think, is an absolute stud. I think you can't really give him the majority of the carries or snaps or anything, but, you know, you saw what he can do. He can break a big run whenever. And then if Washington's trailing at all, he is going to play that receiving back role. So I do like Jeremy McNichols. Again, if we're talking about picking up somebody who's not just a handcuff, who has value without another injury happening, I think Jeremy McNichols is on that list. Honestly, I'm trying to think of how I would order this. Like, I think I would go Blake Corum above Algier. Spears probably there. Ollie Gordon probably there since we've already seen A-Chain a little bit banged up. Then, how many carries did Rodriguez get? I know the snaps were about even with Merritt. I mean, he was fine. He was fine. I don't think he's necessarily any worse than Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. So, I don't know. I'd probably keep it like this, to be honest. I think this is fair. But yeah, Trey Benson is the number one pickup this week. If you need a running back, if you don't need a running back, if you want to block somebody from getting a running back, it says he's owned in 52% of ESPN and Yahoo leagues. So definitely go check that. Curious. On Sleeper, he's owned in 60. So yeah, go check if Trey Benson's out there. Good Lord. Go get him, please. Wide receivers. Okay. I'm a big Darnell Mooney guy. Played a bunch of snaps. Played the most snaps. Ran the most routes for Atlanta. Did not mean anything, obviously. But I am a big Mooney guy. I like Troy Franklin. I think he is playing well. Kayshon Boutte continues to run the most routes, play the most snaps for the Patriots, and the targets aren't just they're just not going his way. So very concerned there, I guess. Let's put Trey Tucker. Is he number one? Trey Tucker is at least up here. You know, honestly, maybe Trey Tucker is number one. I'll go Trey Tucker there, Troy Franklin there, Darnell Mooney 3. Just because if I'm starting these players this next week, I don't know if I'm starting Trey Franklin yet. I think I might start Mooney over him. But I do think Trey Tucker is number one there. Okay, what else do we got? Burden is starting to see his role grow a little bit, if that's the case. Very talented. I know what Christian Kirk is. I'm not overly impressed. I know what Romeo Dobbs is. I'm not overly impressed. Ao Manor is a good player. He scored another touchdown. And that passing offense can only get better, which means Ao Manor can only get better. Kelvin Austin's a fine bye-week fill-in. He's very clearly the wide receiver 2 with no wide receiver 3 in sight. They run a lot of tight ends there. I think he's solid, so we'll put him there. Coker's coming back, but he's going to be splitting some snaps, I think. He's higher than Booty for me, though. Isaac Tesla, he needs to get more snaps, but he's a great player. He'll be below that. Turpin could be decent just because of the CeeDee Lamb injury. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to be that big of a producer on offense. I think he'll steadily get a couple touches, but overall upside, I think, is low. Torrey Horton, I think, is an absolute stud. Let's put Torrey Horton at 8. Potentially higher. If you get points for return yardage, I mean, he's certainly 8 this week, and I don't know if that's going to happen again. But he's a very, very good football player. If you get points for return yardage, he should be higher. But yeah, 8 right now, I think, is fair. Wicks is going to be on the field as long as Christian Watson and Jaden Reed is out. Obviously, Reed's out for quite a while. Watson maybe is a month away. But as with every Packers receiver, I don't think their numbers are going to be consistent whatsoever. That's because of the offense, how that functions, and it's also because of Jordan Love not being a good player. Tyquan Thornton, I think, is higher than these guys. Let's put him at 9 for now. Tyquan Thornton, again, I think he's been really impressive. I think he had an outstanding game last night. Xavier Worthy comes back next week, almost definitely. Rashee Rice comes back a few weeks after that. So I think he's going to be relegated to just being a deep threat guy, a better weapon for the Chiefs offense than for fantasy football. But for now, I think he's solid. Honestly, I mean, if you're just grading the next couple of weeks, he might be like there. Yeah, let's put him there. Jalen Tolbert, if CeeDee Lamb misses any time, he'll be decent. But we've seen him with a big role before, and he just didn't really do anything with it. I think he's above Turpin just because, like, rest of season, Turpin's better. If CeeDee Lamb misses time, I like Turpin, or I like Tolbert more. And then Parker Washington, Brown went out. Daimi Brown left the game, and Parker Washington became that every down receiver, and he played so well. 11 targets, I believe. 11 targets. And we saw him start to do this a little bit at the end of last year. If he is on the field, Trevor Lawrence likes throwing him the ball. The role in the offense that he takes over, the ball will go his direction. So if Daimi Brown misses time, Parker Washington could be potentially up to like here. At the moment, I'll put him here, I think. I need to know more about that Daimi Brown injury. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll keep it like this. So these are my wide receivers: Trey Tucker, Troy Franklin, Darnell Mooney, Luther Burden, Alik, Ao Manor is where I am going in terms of my wide receiver rankings there for the waiver wire. Let's do tight ends quick. I can't imagine there's much. Okay, Harold Fannin again. He ran the 5th most routes on the team, which was about half of them. I don't love that, but in terms of these tight ends, I mean, is what it is. We're not working with a ton of great players here. Brenton Strange and Okonkwo, I think, are both decent, and they're going to play a lot of snaps. I think I would order it like this. Interchangeable, though. If you have a preference, I mean, pick your poison. But I don't hate that. Cade Otton is so uninteresting right now. The only reason he would be decent next week, really, in my opinion, is that, or if I would have any confidence in him, I guess, is if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both out, then fine. Otherwise, don't care. Dalton Schultz, I don't really care. Isaiah Likely should be back next week. Should. I don't think his role will be necessarily consistent. But I like the potential more than Otton and Schultz. Mason Taylor played a bunch of snaps this week with them dropping back and throwing the football. I don't know how long that lasts. I think Justin Fields probably is back this week. But he's a decent player. I mean, his role should grow. I think I would keep him here. His potential's up here, right? But because of the quarterback play, because of the offense, I think I'll keep him here. Jatavian Sanders, they didn't have to throw the football this past week because they were up by so much. I don't think that is going to be the case very often. So he's going to be up there. Theo Johnson is what he is. Cole Kmet is what he is, which is better than Colston Loveland. But I don't have supreme confidence. He might be there, though. How many targets did Dalton Schultz get? 6. So 5, 4, and 6. Schultz is probably here. And I'll go Taylor just because of the upside, right? I don't think Cole Kmet gets a bigger role at any point. But Mason Taylor's role should continue to grow. So I will do that. If you have any final questions, certainly ask, please. Because we are coming to the end of the show here. Defenses for this week. If you're picking up a defense to stream, love the Chargers. So that makes sense. Niners against the Jags. Niners, no Nick Bosa, sounds like, which stinks. Jets against Miami. Rams against the Colts. Patriots against the Panthers. I think I would go. What do the Niners get this week? 1 sack. It's against Kyler Murray, but still. I may put the Patriots like there. Yeah, I think I would do that. I don't have supreme confidence in the Niners. The only defense I'm really paying up for here is the Chargers against the Giants. I think they will have a decent game there. But overall, there's probably better options than these guys anyways. And then kickers, I mean, what are we looking at here? Prater against the Saints. Maybe they get stopped in the red zone. Gay against... I do like Matt Gay against Falcons. I do like Schrader against the Rams because I think the Colts can move the ball, but I could see them petering out in the red zone. Cardi against the Colts, maybe. Myers against the Cardinals. That's probably a decent bet on Thursday Night Football. Honestly, I think I would do that. I'm not a big Jason Myers guy, but I do think they will struggle in the red zone against a physical Arizona team. So, yeah. I'm not... Overall, I guess if we're going overall, I don't know if people look at it this way. Trey Benson's for sure the number 1 overall ad. Without a doubt. You don't even need to think about it. If you are looking for a player to start this week in your flex or wide receiver, I do think Trey Tucker's probably number 2. Chargers defense, hard to argue. If you need a defense this week, that's the one you're picking up. Woody Marks is still more of a pickup in weight. But I do like picking him up. I do think he probably should be owned. Troy Franklin should be higher. Troy Franklin probably should be like there. Yeah. Yeah, if you're picking up a quarterback, I think you should pick up Geno. That's my opinion. And then these running backs are kind of all grouped. So I think this is fair. Harold Fannin should be higher. Harold Fannin should be like that. So I would look at the top 10, 11 here. This is what I feel. I'm not really ordering the rest of these. Maybe Mooney should be like, I don't know, there. But yeah, these are the top pickups this week. Definitely go and steal Trey Benson if you can. If you need a running back, go get Trey Benson. If your opponent needs a running back, go get Trey Benson. If you have so many riches and your kicker is not Brandon Aubrey, drop your kicker, go get Trey Benson, make a trade, pick up a kicker before the week starts. That is what you need to do. Please. Trey Benson should be the pickup, no matter if you need to start him this week or not, because somebody needs to start him, and you could get a nice, pretty penny for that. But that's all I got for today. Tonight, again, 5 p.m. Central, Flurry Sports Podcast is going to be live here, so definitely come back and watch. That should be a fun one. We will be spinning the wheel yet again and ranking the teams based on something random. We don't know yet. So definitely come and help us out with those rankings, 5 p.m. Central. Tuesday night, we got the ad drop show. Luke and Ashton did it last week. So good that I thought, hey, they should do it by themselves again and not me. I would love to have a night off while I do some stuff for you beautiful members, because the opportunity index, the start or the boom bust consistency rankings, all that stuff needs to go out. We got all the snap counts for members live as well. So definitely become a member. One more time, link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen or go to buymeacoffee.com/Zach Brunner, ZACHBRUNNER, and you can become a member for one coffee per month. You get to join a group chat with me. You get all the in-season stats and data. You will win your fantasy league if you become a member. Don't be stupid. Become a member. The best value membership for fantasy football in the industry. If you have any suggestions for other articles or anything like that, articles, videos, whatever, definitely let me know. Thursday as well on the Flurry Sports YouTube channel, Luke will have his survivor pick yet again, 3-0. We are surviving. He had the Buccaneers this past week, and he was sweating, and that's good. Luke needs to sweat a little bit. He needs to feel a little uneasy about these picks. He needs to, it was a nice little wake-up call. Like, hey, you know what? It's the NFL season. Anything can happen. He got that they shook him awake a little bit, but he's still alive. So definitely tune in for that. He's doing a good job with that. A couple years ago, he went perfect. He went 17-0. I do believe it was a 17-week season at that point. Maybe it was 18 already. But he went the full season, went perfect. So we are doing that again this year and winning a lot of money. Tune in for his pick this week. I think it's a good one. Best pick yet. See you guys soon. Tune in tonight. Come hang out. Goodbye.